I think that individuals are really the great source of why immigrant communities and why minority communities are such an important part of the American story. It's the the immigrant who founds a great tech company, or the immigrant who becomes a great politician, the minority who like our president. Broke all the barriers that might have been in the way. It's really our story, and I think that when you look at statistics like the fact that 25% of Hispanics and 25% of African Americans right now live below the poverty line, you might not. You might not think that it's anybody's fault. You might disagree that affirmative action or some policy like that is the way to fix the problem. But you have to recognize that that's a reality, and that when that reality exists, we'll have less stories like the ones I mentioned before that I think are what makes this country the place it is.
Ali, where'd you come from?
Jordan.
Jordan, and?
Okay, and but I want to say something that, despite what we see in the media about anti-Arab or Muslims or Latinos or blacks, I think in the eventuality, historically, as we've seen from historical evidence, that this country will always write itself out. There is always a healthy balance. For example, with the election of President Obama, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, the proliferation of hate groups shot up about 250% from 142 groups to 520 groups. The neo-Nazis, hate, what do you call them, anti-immigrant groups. The Tea Party is one manifestation, although it has a healthy measure of libertarian, economical, streak in it.
But Ali, the main question is that a temporary effect? Is this something that's just on the way to getting it right?
I would hope so. And I think it is up to the American people to stand up today to make it a temporary effect. I mean, we could make it permanent if the whole society, becomes so intolerant, and which is going to be problematic. But I don't think this, it will happen because of the check and balances we have in the Constitution and the civil rights laws, and with a lot of decent people in this country will not make it permanent. But I think it will. It's cyclical. It'll go away. Just it happened with many parties, like you mentioned in the 1800s, with the German, Irish, and Jews, and what have you, other minorities groups. Eventually, with the set of laws, with the Constitution, with the vibrant, dynamic community society we have, I think our country will be okay.
Tom, final thoughts?
I just agree with what Marcelo was saying. I mean, I think attention to individual achievement is going to be ultimately the cure for racism. When employers, individuals are always looking at, what choices has that person made? What have they achieved? Are they worthy as an individual? That's going to be the ultimate cure for racism, morally and socially. Politically, we just have to make sure there's no legal barriers to the treatment of everybody equally before the law. And with those two things, I think we've got a brighter future.
Linda, do we eventually get it right?
I think so. I mean, 70 million people voted for Barack Obama, even though some of them apparently thought that, he's Muslim, or he was born somewhere else, or whatever other ideas were out there. And those ideas were out there because our First Amendment protects those. But I think by and large, some of the hate groups that you're hearing about now, and the activities that some people who are not interested in diversity, the things that you hear about them now, I think are sort of a byproduct of that tension that is more pronounced, where someone's calling them on it. For a long time in this country, there were some hateful policies in place, and there have been courts that would not uphold the law as it was written and push things in a negative direction. And I think that cycle is turning, and with that tension, you're going to hear more of that negative sort of commentary. But I think, at the end of the day, the pushback is going to be in the right direction, and eventually I think we will get it right, yes.